everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And today, if you've made it past the title to this video, I commend you for understanding that, wait a minute, you need more context. You can't just take a title as it says, because as the title of the video does indeed say, the case against female superheroes, why we should not have female superheroes, which could also be worded in the same way as why we should not have male superheroes, and the case against male superheroes. So hopefully you've understood a little bit about why I'm saying the things that I'm saying, because at the end of the day, what we've come down to in this whole toxic cultural mess that is the Captain Marvel movie and everything that's been talked about it is, on one side, you have people who have an issue with the fact that there is an obvious agenda to this film, and if everyone's saying, oh, what do you base that off of? You have no facts, you have no information. We have Brie Larson herself saying that this film is her activism. We now have the directors of the film saying that they are bringing about a sense of feminism to the film. Again, here, Los Angeles Times, Captain Marvel directors bring feminism, the 90s, to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the problem with all of this isn't just feminism, it's just the fact that they do not understand what actual feminism is, or at least they do, but what they've done is that they've taken over a more radical version of feminism, which really isn't feminism altogether, because what is actual feminism? Let's define it for everybody. Let's just define what feminism is supposed to be, because guess what? No one is against feminism. No one is against what feminism is supposed to be. As it says right here, feminism as a noun. It's the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of the sexes. I don't think anyone is against that. I think there should be equality. I think that people should be treated with respect, with dignity, that people should not be told or be treated any differently because of their race or because of their gender, because of their biological sex. Because guess what, guys? Biological sex and gender are the same thing. Ooh, I bet I just triggered a bunch of people. But it's true. No one's against this definition of feminism. The problem is that this is not what the modern day feminist movement is pushing. This is not what Brie Larson and her ilk are pushing. They do not care about actual feminism. What they care about is identity politics. In other words, what I call feminazism. it's the word that I've been trying to use with this, because that's pretty much what it is. Because it's gone so far past. It's gone so far past just trying to say, oh, I want equality, to, well, now that we have equality, I need to find more things to complain about. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say very clearly that you cannot have an opinion about anything unless you fit and check off these particular boxes. If you're not a woman, then you can't speak on so-called women's issues. If you're not African American, then you cannot speak on so-called black issues. That is identity politics. That is not true feminism. That is not true civil rights either. What that is a bunch of people who've realized, oh, wait a minute, there's nothing less for us to fight for, so now let's just make some crap up, and in the process, try and drag everyone else down with us. If you don't agree with us, well, then that means you're a sexist. If you don't agree with us, well, that means that you're a racist. And if you want proof positive of what identity politics is, I think Brie Larson really does fit this well. I think she speaks best to explain, by the very quotes from her own mouth, as to what identity politics is and how it is indeed different from this. Again, feminism. This is what feminism is supposed to be. The advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of the sexes. What does Brie Larson say? I don't need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him. I want to know what it meant to women of color, biracial women, to teen women of color. That is, in a nutshell, identity politics. You are not fitting or matching the lead of this movie, and therefore your opinion does not matter. Your opinion is not as valid. Your opinion is not nearly as valuable as the opinion of someone over here. Note, again, you need to be of the correct gender and also of the correct race in order to have a valid opinion in the eyes of Brie Larson. But this is not just Brie Larson. This is just modern day Hollywood. This is modern day feminism. Anytime nowadays that you hear people, for the most part, say anything about feminism, say anything about equality, they're not really talking about these traditional definitions. They're not really talking about what they're meant to be. What they're talking about instead is that they want, in its own essence, they want segregation. Because how else do you have this, oh, well, this movie wasn't made for them? If you're trying to tell me that a movie that had over $100 million put into it was only made for a subsection of the entire United States population, just the United States population, I'm going to tell you that, no, you're an idiot. you're an idiot. You don't put $100 million behind a movie because you're trying to make it for just one small subsection of the entire population. You make movies. Everyone makes movies as far as, big budget films. Now we're going to go, avant-garde, this very, very small independent, art house theaters. Those, we can have those conversations about, oh, there are movies that are just being made for certain people. Okay, I can buy that. But if you're trying to tell me that broad release, that general release movies, wide release films can only be truly appreciated, can only be truly critiqued by a particular race or gender, that is the very definition of racism and sexism. That is also the total antithesis of what feminism and what civil rights were supposed to be about. Remember, not too long ago, we had the words, "I wish to live in a country where my children are not judged based on the color of their skin or their gender, but rather on the content of their character." Last time I checked, that is how most people I would say, live their lives. Most people don't say, "Oh, look at that black guy over there. Oh man, he's black." Most people don't say, "Oh, look at that white guy over there. Oh man, he's white." Now, people always get, offended whenever you say, "Well, I'm colorblind." It's like, well, you can't be colorblind because, that doesn't exist. Well, obviously, I have eyes. Obviously, I can see that there are physical differences that exist between all peoples, which includes the color of their skin. When we say we're colorblind, what do we mean by that? It means that we're not judging you. It means that we're not making presuppositions just because you happen to look a certain way, just because you happen to talk a certain way. Or at least doing the very best that we can to try and avoid falling into those traps. The problem with today's feminist movement, the problem with today's again, true feminazism, racial identity politics. I guess identity politics might be more friendly to the algorithm. The problem with modern day identity politics is that it does not care about reality. What it does, it wants to create this alternative reality, which is not based in reality itself. But instead, what they want is, and they don't realize what they're saying, what they want is for every single person to stay in their bubble. And I don't really think they understand that by trying to essentially segregate people, they're creating the division in the first place. If you say A Wrinkle in Time can only be enjoyed by people of color, by specifically young women of color, by young mixed race people of color, even more specific than that, then what you're trying to say is that, okay, therefore, if the movie can only be experienced to the fullest extent, if the movie can only be truly appreciated to the fullest extent by those people, okay, then why in the hell do we not just have someone of these groups directing it, writing it, producing it, acting in it, doing everything, oh, no, because, again, remember, you just said that in order for anyone to appreciate this film, in order for anyone to be able to critique this film, you can't be a 40-year-old white dude. 40-year-old white men do not have valid criticisms about A Wrinkle in Time. You can't have one. So what you're saying then is, okay, well then let's go to this logical conclusion. Who then is worthy enough to review the film? Oh, well, only biracial women. Okay, well then who is worthy to make this film? Well, then it should also only be biracial women, because why would anyone not of a biracial, who's not biracial and is not a female, work on a film that is not meant for them? Why would anyone else work on a film that is not being made for them? Brie Larson? Why would anyone do anything for any movie or any project or anything in life if it is not going to be made for them? Oh, out of charity? Well, then you have another problem saying, oh, well, I don't care about a bunch of white dudes, looking down on a bunch of, a people of color and a bunch of women. And, I don't like how they're looking down and they think that we need the help. We can do it ourselves. We're strong. We can do it ourselves. As you can see, this very quickly devolves into absolute chaos. This very quickly devolves into just total and utter asshattery, as I have always loved to explain it as. But also, this is not what feminism is. But this is what Brie Larson's pushing. Again, we have her words right here. I do not care. I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me about A Wrinkle in Time, even though it does not matter what the race or gender of the person is, to be able to see that A Wrinkle in Time is objectively flawed. So yes, 40-year-old white dudes can have a valid opinion, can have a valid thought. Their opinions are not less than anyone else of any other color or any other gender. Now, if you want to talk about how a subjective experience could be different, we can have that discussion. We can say, oh, well, I think that you might be onto something, that someone might have something a little bit different. But what does she say? She says it wasn't made for him. It wasn't made for him. And this is indeed the entire argument going on in the media today. That is the reason why Captain Marvel is being so protected, because what do you have? You have a wide range of people, men and women of various colors and economic backgrounds, coming out and saying, I don't want to see Captain Marvel. I have no interest in it. As you can see from the star herself, she does not think that her movie is going to be made for everyone. Because if you're to take this same logic here, so basically she's taking the star of A Wrinkle in Time and saying, oh, it should only appeal to them. It wasn't being made for anyone else except for biracial women. Okay, well then let's see, who's the star of Captain Marvel? A white woman. Okay, so therefore, using your same logic, again, I'm not assuming anything. I'm taking your logic and bringing it to its logical conclusion. I like to deal with facts. I like to deal with logic. I like to deal with things that make sense. Your movie, then, is only made for white women. And so, therefore, if you are not a white woman, then, therefore, it's not being made for you. As you yourself said, if A Wrinkle in Time is not being made for anyone else other than women of color and biracial women and teen women of color, then Captain Marvel is not being made for anyone else except other than women, young girls, and white women. Because, you are white, Brie Larson, last time I checked. And yet, this is what's going on. Again, this is identity politics to a T. It does not care about equality. It does not care about everyone being on the same page. True equality to me is not even just equality, speaking of sex and gender and, sex, gender being the same thing, but also, not of race or anything else, economic background, but rather to me, true equality is equality of thought. Meaning that your opinions, your thought processes are just as valuable as anyone else's. Just because you're a conservative does not mean that you are any more evil than anyone else. Just because you are a liberal doesn't mean you're any more evil than anyone else. The only time that you start to go down the evil track, the only time that you start to become problematic is when you try to preach to other people and put other people in boxes. Because guess what you're doing, Brie Larson? You're saying that, only colored people, only people of color, only mixed race people, only females can enjoy A Wrinkle in Time. So therefore, we can only release it then to theaters. Taking this to its logical conclusion, well then, therefore, only people of color should be allowed to see the movie, right? So if I'm white, I shouldn't be allowed to see it because it's not being made for me, right? Oh, no, I'm not saying that at all. Okay, well then why would I go see a movie if it's not being made for me? You see how this argument very quickly falls apart? You see how it just immediately just destroys itself on the inside? But again, I say the same thing here from the opposite side. If anyone ever said, oh, we need more white representation, or we need more male representation, I would say, no, screw you. That's not how it works. It's just like the same people out there who say, you know what, let's talk about inclusion. We need more white people playing basketball. No. I don't care about the color of their skins. All I care about is, are they the best person to play the game? Just because they happen to be of a particular race, just because they have to be of a particular gender, and just because that happens to be a higher percentage of anything that you think about in life does not mean that there's inherent racism, does not mean that there's inherent sexism. What it means is that just on average, you have certain people who are going to be geared towards certain things and other people aren't. We are different people. We have different interests. We are made different. We are. I'm sorry. No one is made the same. If you honestly think that we're going to live in a world ever where every single person is going to be treated exactly the same and is going to have the same results, that is a fantasy realm. Same opportunities, meaning like the same abilities, saying that basically it doesn't matter if you are white, black, Asian, a woman, a man, it doesn't matter. You can do exactly what I'm doing right here. Again, if you want to be a reviewer, because she was talking here about critics, no one is stopping anyone from being a critic. You can be whoever you can be whoever it is that you are. Now, does that mean that you're going to be successful? No, there is no guarantee of outcomes. Opportunities, that is where we should focus on equality. That is where we should focus on people being treated, with fairness. But to try and say that, the results, the outcomes should be the same, it's just stupid. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And that is why identity politics falls. But that's why we're seeing all of this nonsense, because these people are using terms and they don't even know the definitions of the terms that they're using. You have these idiots right here, for example, from Forbes.com, Captain Marvel versus the trolls. I'm sorry, but do you realize that the definition of a troll used on the internet sense is a person who makes a deliberately offensive or provocative online post, a deliberately offensive or provocative online post? That is what troll has always meant. But now you are lumping in people who do not want to support a movie, who have issues with a movie, who are basically just putting out their mind saying, hey, I have no interest in seeing this movie. You are now putting them in the same position. If you think that people like me, people that watch this channel, people that watch all the other channels that exist, if you think that we don't like this movie only because there is a female lead, you are delusional. You are complete idiots. Because if that's all that this was, if all this was that we were trying to be, reactionary, we were just trying to get it out there, we were just trying to cause a fuss, I'm sorry, but you wouldn't have so many people watching the videos and liking it and joining essentially this pseudo movement that we have right here. I don't even want to call it a movement, but that's pretty much what it is. It's a bunch of people waking up to the fact that this movie is being protected by the media, is being spin and spun by the media presence to try and point out saying, oh no, I'm a troll. I'm not saying something to get a negative reaction. I am not doing something for the pure, again, I'm not trying to just say something that is going to be deliberately offensive or provocative. I'm saying something that I firmly believe to be true. And other people are saying, hey, I agree with you, or hey, I don't agree with you, and that's fine. It's what the discourse is all about. But it has nothing to do with her being a woman. It really does. It has nothing to do with her being a woman. We don't give a damn. We do not care. Oh, well, you saying that, that's just your white male privilege, and so that's the reason why you'll never understand. You're right, I'll never understand, because I am never going to buy into your nonsense. I am never going to buy into what you believe, as she herself says, that certain movies are going to be made for certain people, and that if you are not of a certain race or gender, that you cannot speak on a variety of topics. Yeah, you're right, I'm never going to buy into that, because that is not equality. That is not feminism. It makes me sick that feminism as a word has now become almost a dirty word, has almost become now an offensive term because of idiots like Brie Larson who have just spun it and twisted it into something that it's not supposed to be. They've turned this into identity politics. And what they do is they continue to separate people. They put people into these boxes. They put people into these camps. You are black. You are white. You are male. You are female. You are this, that, blah, 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 blah. You are defined by this one tiny piece of who you are. They ignore the fact that all of us here are giant puzzle pieces. I use this example a lot because I think it really does point to what the truth is. We are all giant puzzle pieces. Our race and our gender, our sexual orientation, these are all tiny pieces of who we are. But what identity politics driven people like Brie Larson want to do is they want to take that one piece and they want to say, this is what defines you. This is who you are. This is what you're meant to be. And people believe it and people buy into it. And then all of a sudden they think to myself, oh my God, this is what I am. But wait a minute, there's a lot of other people around me that aren't like this. Wait a minute, that means there's something wrong with me. Wait, that means that I don't fit in. Wait, I need to find other people that also degrade themselves to that point so that way we can get along. And when you separate people in this way, when you separate people and you divide people, you call me divisive. You call me the one that's causing issues. And yet you're the one that's essentially trying to tear society apart with your stupid nonsense. This, versus Captain Marvel versus the trolls. We're not trolls. Most of us speaking out about this aren't trolls. We're not just trying to be provocative. We are simply trying to fight something that is truly evil. Because that's what identity politics is. It is true evil itself because it is degrading people. It is separating and dividing people. And it's leading to a lot of just blatant stupidity. And the fact that even now we're still having this discussion that people saying that they wanted to see Captain Marvel, they wanted to see Brie Larson smiling more in the trailer, which is something that I didn't hear a whole lot of people really say in the first place. The only thing that we said was we wanted more emotion. And the reason why is because she looked like a person that was not acting. She looked like she was so bored on set, and that's not because she wasn't smiling. Smiling is one of many emotions that people can convey, that many actors are supposed to be able to convey. What we were pointing out was that, she's emotionless. She's like as many people said, like a plank of wood, just so dull. And yet now they're turning this into a controversy. Now they're trying to say that, that's sexist to say. You can't say that. Women have been told this for a long time. Now even the director of the movie is coming out and saying, this is just how it goes. Don't be sad. It's a very common thing to hear as a woman. I'm glad that she's saying it's not a big deal, but the fact that she's trying to say, as a woman, this is something that we're used to. I'm sorry, but if a man also had the same wooden performance in a trailer, guess what we would have done? We would have said, hey, I wish this person would show more emotion. But again, every single thing has to always be about sex, gender, orientation, whatever it is. It has to be. Any comments, anything that's ever said ever must either be racist, sexist, misogynistic, you name it, homophobic, Islamophobic, whatever it is. It can't just be. It can't just exist. And anyone out there that's still watching this video who doesn't agree with me, I commend you for at least trying to hear the arguments out. But if I hate Captain Marvel, if I hate Brie Larson just because she's a woman, if I'm being critical of this movie just because she's a woman, then why do I love Alita Battle Angel? Why am I going to bat? Why is it that almost every person I talk to that is passionate about this movie is a man? Oh, that's because they're over-sexualizing. No, they're not. No, they're not. Because guess what? She doesn't have any sexual genitalia, so she can't be sexualized in the first place. The reason why so many people, And I say men just because that's just my own experience. Mostly people talking to me, reaching out about this film, most of them have been men. I know a lot of other women that love this film. Anna, that Star Wars girl, for example, whose channel is blowing up right now. She freaking loves this movie. But it's been interesting to see just, I'm thinking about it right now. It's been mostly men that have been saying, how is this movie doing? Is this movie doing well? And I would say it's still, I think, on pace to break even. I really hope and pray. We really won't know until we get those second weekend in China numbers coming in. But why is it that so many people then, men and women, but mostly, again, coming to me have been men, why are so many of them coming to bat for this movie? Why are so many of them saying, hey, you know what, on March 8th, I'm not going to go see Captain Marvel, I'm going to go see this instead? There's a female lead. What's the difference? Oh, wait, that's right. This one doesn't have an agenda. This one is not pushing for identity politics. This one is just telling a freaking good story and trying to entertain you. Why is it then that everyone and their mom saw Wonder Woman? Why is it that this movie from week 1 to week 2 saw one of the lowest rates, one of the lowest drops between movies? Again, 43% from week 1 to week 2. That is a very small drop when you talk about big budget films. This movie had such low drops. That is the reason why it ended up overall making $412 million. It did very well overseas on top of that. Why is it? Did we just decide that, oh, we're going to allow this woman to do something? No. The reason why is because this movie did not have an agenda. This movie did not have an agenda. This movie was simply a movie featuring a woman, someone who happens to be a woman, playing a character. Because going back to what I said at the very beginning, the problem that we have right now is that everything has to be specific. Everything has to be genderized. Everything has to be, brought into a racial component. Why is it that Black Panther has to be, he's a black man? It's a big deal because he's a black man. Why is it that Captain Marvel, she's the first woman, female MCU character? Why does her gender have to do anything to do with her character? Wonder Woman, even though woman is in the name, guess what? Most people are going to see it because it was a character. People go see these movies because they want to see a badass character do awesome things. Their gender, their race, these are secondary, tertiary, sometimes even further than that. Things that most people just don't care about. The reason why this movie, Brie Larson's movie, Captain Marvel, is an issue, is not because she's a woman. Because again, I just given you 2 examples of just over the past few years of blowing that in your face. That it's not females in power. It's not female characters, strong female women that we're afraid of. Oh, we're afraid of them because we're a bunch of incels. No. The reason why is because we have an idiot right here who's trying to push a identity politics driven narrative, not only in her personal life, but is bringing it into the movie, saying that, then this film is my activism. You have the director saying, this is going to bring about feminism. This is going to be a film that no one else has ever seen before. This is what is going to be important. Again, Captain Marvel is notably a film which a woman overcoming her harshest and primarily male critics, the one who have said her entire life that she's too emotional and can't possibly make it on her own, is key to her self-actualization. Are you kidding me? Are you nuts? That's something that was really meaningful for me, because when you're doing something that you really care about and you pull all that you have into it, you experience a lot of emotion, self-doubt, fear, and all those things. It was lovely to be making a movie about a character who learns to embrace all of that. Captain Marvel is not insignificantly the first Marvel MCU film to center on a female superhero. Why is it that we have to say she's a female superhero? Why can't she just be a hero? Why can't she just be a badass person, a badass character? It's very easy. It's because of identity politics. It's because of Brie Larson telling us very clearly herself. And this is the problem. Again, Scotty Boy Mendelson, again, coming to the defense of Rotten Tomatoes saying, oh, you're using it wrong. It's a bunch of trolls. This is not what it's supposed to be like. Oh man, telling her to smile, that's wrong. And yet, no criticism, no backlash, no criticism, no backlash. Backlash, criticism. Her being a woman has nothing to do with it. Her being a woman is not the reason why this is a problem. The problem is that you think her being a woman is what's most important. The reason why there's a backlash is because you think the media, Brie Larson, all of the crazy, all the crazy Captain Marvel bots on Twitter. The problem is that you think that her being a woman should be her primary identifying factor and nothing else. And we have a problem with that because that has no place in a franchise like the MCU. Identity politics does not have a place in any franchise, or at least shouldn't. Because I should not be told by the main actor of this film is not being made for me. This film isn't being made for me. This film is only being made for a small subsection of the population of the world. If you honestly still want to defend this movie, if you honestly think that this is truth, that I can't have a valid opinion about this movie, that I must be sexist by criticizing this film, before it's even come out. Geez, I didn't realize that no one has ever had an opinion about a film before it's come out ever in history. I didn't realize that people have never had opinions about trailers or plots or anything about the stars of the movie before a movie's come out. Geez, I didn't realize that no one has ever done this before. And they're acting like everything is new. Oh my gosh, she's a female superhero. Oh my God, it's the greatest thing in the world. No. What she is she's a hero based off of a very poorly written character who's been rebooted so many times because no one's buying the comic in the in the first damn place. And now you're trying to bring that character onto the big screen, and you're trying to sell us on some SJW identity politics drivel that most people don't want, that most people don't care about, that most people just want to see disappear. And so again, if you're going to call me a racist and a sexist, then why is it that I love this movie with a lead actress named Rosa Salazar? Why is it that I love this movie starring an Israeli woman named Gal Gadot, directed by Patty Jenkins, who did an excellent job? Why? How can I be a sexist if I have no complaints or qualms other than just the normal objective flaws that movies have with any of these films? How can I be a sexist? The reason why is because you know that at the end of the day that we're right. You know that we are exposing this. You know that we are calling this out for what it is, and you know that if we sink this movie, if we have any negative impact on what this movie does at the box office, you know if we ruin this character, you know if we have any impact on this character, that it's going to throw your entire agenda that you've been trying to push for in Hollywood for years and years and years into a tailspin. And so I'm going to continue to speak out. I'm going to continue to speak as you can keep on calling me an incel, a racist, a sexist. You can keep on calling me these things. Again, I know what I am. The people who follow me, they know who I am as well. And at the end of the day, the only person with any issue here are you guys. Again, the ones who are trying to say that her being a female hero is what should be the most important. No. Her being a well-established character with a great character arc, with a great backstory, played by a wonderful actress who is trying to push for great things. That is where the focus should be. But no, what do we have instead? Someone who has made it very clear, not just in this comment, but in other comments that she's had about white men, this movie isn't for me. And so if I have to show that, okay, it's not for me, so I'm going to push a button saying that I'm not interested. And then you yell at me saying, oh, you're just doing that because you're a troll, you're a sexist. Again, start looking up the definitions of the words that you're throwing around, because you obviously have no idea what they are. You obviously have no idea what they are. You have no idea what feminism is, what it's supposed to be. You have no idea what trolls are. You have no idea what sexism or racism even is at this point. You have become so convoluted in your thinking that you will spin any and everything to fit your narrative. And we're going to keep on calling it out. But anyway, guys, what are y'all's thoughts about all of this? Seriously, I honestly never before in my life, when we talked about Superman, when we talked about Batman, when we talked about Green Lantern, or any other character, Aquaman, we've never been like, oh my God, it's a male superhero. You know, beforehand with Wonder Woman, or with going all the way to Suicide Squad. One of the best parts of Suicide Squad was Margot Robbie. Was her portrayal of Harley Quinn. But did we say, oh, she's a female superhero, or she's a female supervillain, she's a female villain? No. She's a character. These are characters. But what they've done is they've now turned this into a total political machine. And I'm going to keep on fighting against it. But guys, please let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments below. Please, also, if you like this video, smash that like button, give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe, because you know a bunch of people are just going to downvote this just from the title alone. Just from the title alone, because they don't want to actually, engage with something that is not of their thinking. They could not possibly think about having a conversation about any of these things that we're discussing. Because at the end of the day, just as they think, or Brie Larson thinks, oh, that movie's not for them, they think people like me should shut my mouth because I'm a white man. And if that isn't racist or sexist, I don't know what the hell else is. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. And as always, God bless.